Hello, my name's Don Alexander. I'm a former flight instructor. I still maintain ground instructor ratings for advanced and instrument uh, instruction, and also an airframe and power plant mechanic. A background is in aviation. I started flying when I was 16, and I was a flight instructor, charter pilot, corporate pilot. Wanted to be an airline pilot, interviewed with United and American, but I think my age was a factor that knocked me out from that, and I had a hearing loss in my left ear, so that knocked me out. That was some years ago. But I still think that being an airline pilot would be the ideal profession. You fly about 80 hours a month. I know a lot of people complain about that and say, well, I don't know, the schedule is so erratic. I'm have to maybe leave a couple of days before the flight to get where I'm going, and then my flight might be canceled when I get there. And it's there's no perfect profession naturally, but I think people learn to fly for various reasons. Some people like just the sense of adventure. They like the fact they go out there and hop in an airplane at their own convenience and fly to anywhere they want to go. I think some people learn to fly because they have a fear of flying. I've had students who were afraid of flying, and that's why they learned to fly. I think students, probably need to understand that they need to relax. First thing, you're not expected to know everything yet, not anything actually, because everybody's starting with zero flight time. And students should ask questions, a lot of questions. There are no dumb questions in aviation. They might think it's stupid, but it's not, because here again, just because they might not know the answer to the question, or they think everybody else might know the answer to it, which they probably don't. And I think, too, that people want to handle an airplane different ways. Some people want to, have what they call the white knuckle effect. They want to grip the control column, stick, or wheel, whichever they have, like it's a death grip. Other people are more relaxed with their grip of the airplane. Actually, an airplane will pretty much fly itself, and the less you do with it, the better it will respond. I think you learn this over time. And of course, you always have to maintain separation from other aircraft. Somebody once described it as having your head on a swivel, because you're always looking around. And of course, we know from past newscasts about people who have collided with other airplanes. And I remember one time I was down at New Smyrna Beach doing takeoff and landings, touch and goes, if you will. And as I was getting into the traffic pattern, I noticed this, I think it was a Mooney aircraft, came flying right by me, and I didn't see him. He just snuck it, I said that, like somebody said, it's hiding behind the clouds, which it wasn't, but but the Lord spared me of that one. I didn't, have a collision. So it's very important to maintain visual separation from airplanes naturally to prevent mid-air collisions. They happen quite I don't know how frequently they are, but you hear about them from time to time. And another thing, you want to try to memorize everything today. You can't. I know people learn at different levels. And of course, safety is the top priority in flying an airplane. I used to tell my students, when you're flying, you have to make a decision. If in doubt, don't. And that's, I think, a very, very important thing to remember when you're flying. And of course, people think, well, I can't learn to fly. It's too complicated. But you're more capable than you think you are. You build skill with flight time. The more you fly, hopefully, the more you will relax flying an airplane and enjoy the flight. I mean, it's amazing to be above the crowd of people, and you see cars on the ground going by very slowly, but you're up there and you have a lot of freedom to turn left or right within limits. It depends on the airspace you're in, naturally, but it's become very expensive to learn to fly anymore. I think it's probably $250 an hour to fly like a little Cessna 152 or 172. Of course, when I started flying last century with the Wright brothers, I'm pretty old, but anyway, back then, a Piper Cub, the first airplane I learned to fly in, I think you always learn to fly, but this airplane was like $15 an hour with a flight instructor. It was $9 an hour solo, if you could believe that. Back then, aviation fuel was a lot less expensive. But like anything else, over time, costs have improved. The FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, says that probably a person can become a private pilot, which means they can fly by themselves and take people with them, not for pay, but just to go fly for fun. And they can fly to different places in the country. Of course, there are advanced ratings, the instrument rating, which requires considerable more time. Some of the students I've had over the past have had more than 40 hours to get their private license. And one student once who, I think it's like a natural pilot, he had this natural ability to fly. He learned to fly a Piper Cub, and of course later in a Cherokee 140. But he soloed in like 8 hours. Some people may take longer than that. It depends on the person's background and their willingness to learn to fly. And I think he got his private license was he was like 17 years old. You have to be 17 to get a private pilot license. But I think he got his private license when he had either 40 or 41 hours. Of course, now, with today's prices, if you say it's $200 an hour, 20 hours solo and 20 hours what's called dual with the instructor. And they have a cross-country time in there too that is required. And so it's probably $8,000 to get a private pilot license. It's a pretty expensive hobby. Of course, a lot of people play golf. They have other expensive hobbies, but aviation is a very rewarding, hobby or profession. It depends what to do with it. But anyway, if you have any questions about aviation, just you email me and I'll be happy to try to help you. So anyway, just keep at learning to fly if you want to learn to fly. And here again, remember that safety is number one in flying.